So everything that we ever talk about is about helping you to realize that you are always the new expanded version, and when you are moving in the direction of that new and expanded version, you feel good, and when you're not, you don't feel good. In other words, allowing who you are to be or resisting who you are to be, letting yourself be the expanded version of you or holding back from it in some way. And you know, every emotion you feel, every single one, whether you call it joy, whether you call it despair, whether you call it hope, whether you call it doubt, whether you call it love, whether you call it hate, every emotion that you or anybody else feels is about your closing the gap between who you are or you're widening the gap between who you are. Every emotion is about that. What a wonderful guidance system you were born with. Because your guidance is letting you know in every moment whether you're keeping up with you. Nowadays, most of you have navigational systems in your vehicles. Jerry and Esther have 4 different kinds now. And all of them operate on the same premise, where the system knows where they are and they program their desired destination in, and then the system gives them a visual and verbal description of how to get from where they are to where they desire to be. The system never says to them, "Where have you been? What took you so long? Why are you there?" Never once have any of them said to Jerry and Esther, "You asked yesterday and you didn't follow our advice, so we're not giving you any more." It's just a straightforward system based upon 2 relationships. Where are you in relationship with where you want to be? And we want you to understand that your guidance system is so much the same in that it has 2 vibrational relationships. Where am I right now? By virtue of what I'm giving my attention to and by what drum I'm beating. Where am I in relationship to who I have become? And we want you to remember that the way you feel and all of your enlightenment, expansion, joyous beingness is not based upon what anybody else is doing. It's all about what you're doing in relationship with what your life has caused you to become. And so you have the power to come into alignment with who you are, no matter what, unconditionally. And when you learn to focus in ways that allows you that alignment, you'll feel the true power of who you are. One who's connected to the source within is more powerful than millions who are not. So when you come to care about how you feel, and you begin to pick your way through life, through thoughts, through experiences, through television channels, through food buffets, through relationships, as you pick your way through, caring about how you feel as you focus, and you train yourself to keep focusing into something that feels a little better and a little better and a little better and a little better until you train yourself to see your world through the eyes of Source, then you will begin to live your life as you intended when you came forth into this physical body. Not one of you said, "I'll go forth into a human form, but before I get there, get it all cleaned up. And then I'll be born into a feathered nest where all I have to do is just look around and feel good." Not one of you said that. Every one of you said, "Let me at it. I'm eager to go. I know the variety will inspire my expansion. And when expansion occurs, I'll turn my undivided attention toward my expansion. And I'll have this glorious ride on this wonderful river. I will be fulfilled. I am eternally expanding." That's what every one of you said. We said we would remind you when you forgot. Because your guidance system itself, even though it's reminding you, you have sort of numbed yourself to that. In other words, you would think that when you feel strong negative emotion that you'd get the signal you're off your track. But some of you have become confused about what your negative emotion means, because instead of paying attention to your own guidance and coming into alignment with who you really are, many of you begun to listen to those outside of you who are serving their interests, and that's all right for them to serve their interests, but it's not all right for you to serve their interests instead of your own. If you're not selfish enough to come into vibrational alignment with who you are, you have nothing to give anyone anyway. So do you acknowledge that you are eternal beings? And does it make sense to you, since there is this eternal part of you, that this eternal part of you has a very strong point of attraction? You can tell just by the thoughts you think. When you've been pondering something softly, you don't see much forming around it initially. But the more you give your attention to something, the more it begins to show up in your experience. Have you proven that to yourself? So you're getting the sense of law of attraction and its powerful response to the vibration that is at the heart of things. Law of attraction is the most powerful law in the universe, and it's the law that says that which is likened to itself is drawn. That's the law that says when you set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m., you're going to hear what's being broadcast on 6:30 a.m. You can't set your tuner on one frequency and hear what's being broadcast on another frequency. The frequencies have to match up. And law of attraction is the manager of vibrational frequencies. So we've been talking to Esther and Jerry about law of attraction since 1985. And even today, when Esther is on her way someplace and she will say, there will be a parking place right in front for us. I can see it in my mind's eye. And I like those when somebody backs out just as I'd come in, because those are the ones that I can feel are really being orchestrated for me. And never, ever, ever does she pull in there and feel that car pulling out that she isn't thrilled with the power of law of attraction. Every single time. As they're driving down the freeway and she looks at her odometer and it says 111 at the same time that the mile marker says 111, she thrills with the power that law of attraction has brought her to focus upon these things. In other words, we want you to use the ability to focus, and we want you to think about convergence. We want you to think about this orchestration that law of attraction provides for you, where all things that are important to you, all things that are vibrationally active within your vibration, converge, and that's what makes up your life experience. So we can feel that you're sort of getting the idea of law of attraction, but we want to give you another awareness of it. And if you can hear this in the powerful way that we are projecting it to you, a whole new understanding of life and emotion and creation is going to erupt within you. So you acknowledge that you are eternal beings, yes? Yes. And you acknowledge that you've been in this physical body for a while, yes? And the relationship time-wise between the amount of time in this body is, and this eternal you is something else altogether, yes? So you've been in the process of becoming this God self that is you, yes? You're getting the sense of who you really are in relationship to who you really are? Who you really are. Now, we're not wanting to diminish who you are in this physical body. We just want you to think. Law of attraction has been responding to this part of you for a very long time. Do you get that? And can you imagine what kind of current is being summoned toward that part of you? So now consider this. So here you are, this powerful, attractive being, and you come into the physical experience where you bang around, you don't know what you're doing, you're sort of blind and little and bald and you have no teeth and you're banging around. And you're exposing yourself to all kinds of experiences, and you give birth to rocket of desire after rocket of desire, which, this is the part we want you to remember, source energy rides those rockets of desires and becomes the non-physical vibrational embodiment of the new expanded you. Can you feel that? Now that's what law of attraction is responding to. This new version of you, this weller, richer, clearer minded, nicer, more expanded version of you. That's who you have become. That's what law of attraction is responding to. And you know what that does for you here in your physical body? It gives you a feeling of momentum that goes this way. We want to call this downstream. In other words, it's this effortless downstream calling. Nothing that you want is upstream. Everything that you want is being held by the you that is really you, and law of attraction is dominantly responding to that evolved version of you, and that's what causes the momentum of the stream. So when you get that, and you begin choosing thoughts that let you move in the direction of who you really are, you feel wonderful. And when you choose thoughts that do not let you move in the direction of who you are, you don't feel so good. So downstream is closing the gap between you and you. Upstream is widening the gap between you and you. And everything about your emotions is letting you know about that. We want to help you to find more and more downstream statements. We want you to realize that while we're all the time crowing about love and appreciation and joy and alignment, which is where you perceive your freedom and empowerment, and we are not proponents at all of despair and fear and disempowerment, we want you to know that if you're over there in despair, you can't all of a sudden jump over here to appreciation. It's not possible. The frequencies are too far apart. And you don't need to do it anyway. This stream is moving toward this expanded version of you. And when you stop the struggle, which is the only thing that's got you pointed upstream anyway, when you stop feeling unworthy, when you stop not liking yourself, when you stop hating others, when you stop looking for reasons to feel bad, and you begin looking for more reasons to feel good, you will be on your way, and quickly. So we would like you to replace all of those emotions that you have been feeling with the quest for one emotion. And maybe emotion isn't the best word for this, but it is the word we want you to reach for. Reach for the feeling of relief. Just the thought that feels a little better from where I am. Not big relief. Can't find big relief. Big relief is vibrationally far apart. Little relief is very easy to accomplish. As Jerry and Esther are romping across the nation, they drove for 3 days from Colorado over here in the last 3 days, the monster bus. And as they are driving along those beautiful, beautiful highways, mostly wide open road, but quite a bit of construction. And every now and again, a flagman would hold up that awkward sign and bring them all to a halt. And it's so annoying to have been wailing along at 80 miles an hour. You didn't hear that, 70 miles an hour. You didn't hear that, 60 miles an hour. It's so annoying to have been wailing along and then all of a sudden to not be moving at all. And Esther is thinking, how long can this be? There must be 5 million cars that are being allowed to come this way while we are sitting here. But in time, the sign is turned and they are allowed to slowly begin moving. And even though they are moving much more slowly than they were before, the moving feels so much better than the sitting there. And couldn't you imagine how Esther would feel if they made her turn around and go back to Colorado? And so we're wanting to suggest to you that that feeling of relief always comes when you begin to move toward what you want. As they're traveling about, they know which way to go. San Diego is west of Phoenix, 400 miles. Point that way and keep going and you're going to get there. They never get out there in the desert and feel discouraged, so much so that they get disoriented and lose their way and spin around in the desert or go back to Phoenix. Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, and then announce to the world, San Diego is an impossible dream. Or San Diego is incurable. You make those ridiculous statements all the time as humans. You call things that are possible not possible. You call things that are absolutely recoverable as incurable. And the reason you do it is because you haven't figured out how to quantify your journey. So you go this way, 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 when what you want's over here. And you say, I'm so tired. Do you know how long I've been working? Do you know how many miles I've driven? Do you know how many miles I've walked? Do you know how many things I've tried? And we say, have you tried just going in the same direction for a while instead of back and forth and back and forth? You've got to figure out how to quantify your journeys. You've got to figure out where what you want is downstream, and you've got to figure out how to keep moving consistently in the direction of what you want. And we're here to tell you that the way you quantify your journey is by using your guidance system, which is in your belly, which is in your gut, which says if it feels a little better, you're moving in the direction of what you want. If it feels a little worse, you've taken a detour in the opposite direction. And we so want you to understand that you can trust this guidance, because we know so clearly that as your life caused you to become something more, the source energy within you stands there as the already having become of it and calls you never-endedly toward it. And when you go, you feel great, and when you don't, you don't. So, when you don't feel good, do you know what it means? It means your life has caused you to become something that you are right now not letting yourself become. You are such a lover, and when you find reason to criticize someone, do you know that the reason it feels so rotten is because you're not being who you really are?